Hey, what's up guys? How's it going? So I'm back with a video for my second favorite video game. Don't ask me what the first is. But today we're talking about habits, but more specifically about how creating good habits is a really good way to improve your life. And just like in real life, creating good habits in Rocket League is a really good way to improve your rank. But creating good habits also comes with decreasing bad habits. Now, I spent some time thinking about the worst habits that I've noticed when watching Rocket League players. And a lot of these I noticed because I saw that they were common trends in the replays of players that I was coaching on stream, and with myself and my teammates in ranked on the way up to Grand Champ. And the way I set these up is that the first one I'm going to tell you guys about is the one that I noticed the most at lower ranks, the second one middle ranks, and the third one is applicable to even up to the highest ranks. Alright, so for number one, we have a habit that I noticed when I was reviewing replays on stream. And most players do this to some extent, but I mostly noticed it in diamond and below players. But even if you're higher than that, it could still apply to you. So what I'm talking about is giving the ball away for free. And what I mean by free,
You're free. You're literally so free, freer than a free sample at Costco.
and what I mean by free is conceding possession without forcing the opponent to waste boost or to commit a player. Now, even though this is a problem in all modes, it seems to be especially noticeable in ones. And I'm going to show you guys an example of what I mean by this. Now, this is an opponent that I played the other day in ones, and they seem like a pretty good player, but I did notice them committing this bad habit, which stood out to me. Now, keep in mind that this is from my opponent's perspective. So we get a pretty normal 50-50, and I challenge pretty aggressively, and it ends up working out pretty well for me. And here you actually see me playing overly passive, which allowed my opponent to get a chance on offense. And he decides to take a shot. Now, whenever you shoot the ball in Rocket League, you're giving away possession. You're hoping to trade your possession for a goal or for offensive pressure. And in terms of scoring a goal, as I'm hoping most of you guys would recognize, this is not going to be a goal at anything above a bronze. Now, even if it's not going to be a goal, it could still be good if it puts me in an awkward spot. But that's the other thing. My opponent hasn't recognized that I'm in a really good position to save this ball, and he's literally just handing me possession.
You're free. You're literally.
Now, when I picked out this replay, I didn't actually realize this is what happened, but I actually showed a decent example of how you can apply offensive pressure without handing over possession. Now, this is obviously a very high risk, high reward play, but this is an example of how you can capitalize on possession. So I guess the question now becomes, how do we avoid giving away the ball for free? So in my experience, there have been two things that I've seen help people stop giving away the ball for free. So the first thing I would say is to pay more attention to your opponent when you have possession of the ball. Can your opponent challenge you, or are they heading back to their net? And how much boost do they have? So these are some questions that you should ask yourself to gauge how much space you actually have. And the second way you can get better at not committing this bad habit is to play more ones. So the reason ones helps with this is because it's all about possession of the ball. And changes in possession are the most obvious in the 1v1 game mode. So if you struggle with giving the ball away for free, ones will be a great place to practice correcting this bad habit. And while we're talking about ones, I would just say that I think there's a ton of other great reasons why lower to mid-rated players should play ones, which I might talk about in a video in the future. So now that you recognize that you have space, what should you do? So in the simplest terms, you want to close the distance between the ball and their net without giving your opponent an easy challenge. So my preferred method of doing this is the bounce dribble, which is really easy to learn at any level. But if you get comfortable enough with that, you can progress to regular dribbles and then learn how to flick off of those dribbles. Now, taking the ball up the wall or off the ceiling can be a good way for advanced players to close the distance, but it can also be a really big waste of boost, so be careful with those. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much the first one. Don't give away the ball. So the second habit that I see lower ranked players doing all of the time is just about boost management. And I see lots of people moving around the field doing this. So the way I look at it, there are three main ways to move around the field that are faster than just driving. You can boost, you can flip, or you can do a combination of the two. Now, I'm sure you guys can guess what I'm getting at here. Now, if you know you're going to be traveling relatively straight for the next 10 or so feet in game, you should never not flip. You're wasting so much boost by not incorporating your flip into your movement. Now, the bad habit of not incorporating your flip into your movement in game is a little bit different than the first habit I mentioned, because some players are naturally better at this than others. But I would be willing to bet that a lot of you guys are boosting without flipping, and you're leaving a lot of boost on the table when you do so. Now, when I'm moving around the field, I usually do a speed flip or a diagonal flip because it allows me to boost the entire time I'm flipping. And if you don't know what a speed flip is, don't worry about it for now. But as with most things in Rocket League, there's no need to overcomplicate things. You can boost and front flip and get around very efficiently. Just make sure that you stop boosting when your car is upside down so that you're not boosting in the opposite direction you're trying to go. And as I touched on before, boosting and flipping is by far the most efficient way to move around the field, so you want to make sure you're always incorporating it. And here's an example for one of my games where I wasted boost by just boosting instead of boosting and flipping or just flipping. And most of the time when you guys boost like this, it's just a waste of boost. You'd be better off flipping instead. And while the 10 boost I used here might not seem like a lot, that can be the difference between a goal line save and getting scored on. And while it has its place, most of the time if you see somebody moving around the field by boosting instead of boosting and flipping, or just flipping, they're wasting a ton of boost. And now I'm going to show you guys an example of how efficient boosting and flipping can be. And so I didn't expect this much power from my teammate's pass, which left me a little bit behind the play, so I had to catch up. And I know it doesn't seem like the most impressive thing in the world, but to go from a regular driving pace to supersonic like that, a lot of lower level players would burn through 50 or 60 boost easily, and I was able to do it efficiently with 20 boost, because I recognized that this was an opportunity where I can incorporate my flip into my boosting. And in case for some reason you still didn't believe me, here's a quick side-by-side comparison of the two methods used to get to supersonic. And obviously you'll notice how much boost I save by just boosting and flipping. And if you do have this habit of just holding down boost without incorporating your flip, the amount of boost that you'll save by starting to use your flip will be the difference between won and lost games, I promise you. Okay, so this one's just a touch higher level, but it can still be applied to anybody's game. So going around the back post is one of the most important parts of defensive rotations in Rocket League, but a lot of players get it wrong. So a lot of players will tuck themselves into the net like this when they go back post. And while a lot of times this can be a good way to rotate, it shouldn't be your go-to for a variety of reasons, but the main one is that you're basically giving up the ability to defend a good shot to this corner, or the other one if you rotate from the other side. Now, I know for a fact that a lot of you guys rotate like this every single time, and you're probably feeling a little called out right now. So let me explain why this can sometimes be bad, and then provide you guys with a better way to do it. Now, the main reason this rotation can be bad is because your opponent can just shoot to this top corner, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. To be clear, if you don't think your opponent is going to try to shoot up there, then sometimes it can be okay to tuck yourself in the net, because it puts you in a good position to defend the rest of the net. But a lot of times when you are rotating back post, it's because you have a teammate in front of you, and that teammate can cover the rest of the net, so you really only have to worry about that top corner. So the way I like to rotate back post when I have a teammate in front of me is instead of tucking myself in the net, I'll just hug the post and then sit there until my teammate challenges or gets out of the way. Doing this puts you in a much better position to defend the part of the net that your teammate's probably not going to be able to get. So the way that I would sum this habit up is that I think a lot of people will tuck themselves into the net, which leaves that top corner exposed, even when they have a teammate in front of them. And while it's not always a bad idea to tuck yourself into the net like that, it's almost never a good idea to do it when you have a teammate in front of you. Alright, so yeah guys, that about wraps it up. I wasn't trying to make anything more complicated than it needed to be. I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of these habits I see. And I hope that some of you guys will be able to apply these to your games. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.